Open your Bibles to Psalm 39, the 39th Psalm. This, as I've been soaking in this psalm all week, this is such a great psalm. I'm so excited about it. I said, I will guard my ways, that I may not sin with my tongue. I will guard my mouth with a muzzle, so long as the wicked are in my presence. I was mute and silent. I held my peace to no avail, and my distress grew worse. My heart became hot within me. As I mused, the fire burned. Then I spoke with my tongue. So, he starts this with a suspense. I was quiet. I said, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to hold my tongue. Just going to keep it inside. Don't want to sin. Especially don't want to give others, the wicked, the ammunition to use against me. Don't want to provoke the wicked to even more wickedness. So I was mute and silent. I held my peace to no avail. My distress grew worse. My heart became hot within me. As I mused, the fire burned. Just something inside of him, and then finally it just erupted. And what was it? O Lord, make me know my end, and what is the measure of my days. Let me know how fleeting I am. That's his cry. He's sitting there, silent, and something is burning inside of him. And what is it? It is the fleeting nature of his life. Like, there is nothing important in this life. There's nothing urgent. There's nothing dominant. There's nothing eternal. Let me know how fleeting I am. Remind me of it. Teach me it. Teach me how fleeting I am. Teach me my end. Teach me the measure of my days. Let me know this, Lord. If I have to ask for anything, it is the constant reminder that I am nothing, and this life is nothing, and this world is nothing. That this is nothing to be treasured and cherished and held on to. That this life is fleeting. It's created to be destroyed. It's disposable. I mean, it's disposable. It's got a planned obsolescence built into it. You know what that is? You know, that's a business term, planned obsolescence. In other words, if you want to stay in business for a lot of years, you can't make something that lasts a long time because everybody will buy it, they'll have it, it'll last forever, and then you're out of business. Like what? I mean, if Ford would build the perfect car, you'd never have to buy another Ford, right? So why would you do that? I mean, the great-great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren of Henry Ford would like to have some money, so they got to keep building cars that break so that you have to keep buying new ones. That's planned obsolescence. This entire world, we get upset about that. I mean, everything, cell phones, everything breaks. It's like, you're telling me that we've got, I mean, I heard a rumor, I don't know if it's true or not, but I'm guessing it is because I heard it on from a reliable source, that the President of the United States' limo, that limo could drive off of a bridge into the ocean, and there is enough supplies inside of that car, and it is watertight, it is sustainable for 3 days. You could live underwater in that car for 3 days. You're telling me you can't make a cell phone that you can't drop on the floor and pick it up? Like, honestly, seriously. You're telling me somebody could drive into the ocean and live for 3 days inside of a car, and yet you can't splash water on a cell phone and the thing's ruined. I mean, it's ludicrous. That's planned obsolescence. It's designed that way. It's designed to not last. That's the whole point. If they wanted something to last, they would make it to last. This entire world is planned obsolescence. Its demise was created from the beginning. It's not meant to last. Who would be the fool that would expect to be able to drop a cell phone and pick it up and drop it and pick it up, or submerge it in water and still use it? Like, who would think that that could happen? I mean, right? We don't put hope in such things. And yet, how often do we long to attribute to this world eternal significance? So, this is what was burning inside of him. And notice, he said, I will guard my ways that I may not sin with my tongue. In other words, he doesn't want to sin in his observation that this life is fleeting. Show me. Show me how this life is not all there is. And you talk this way and people will think you're sinning. Even Christians, I hear Christians. That when you talk as though this world is not significant, I mean, they're like, they can't buy that. Well, no, there's a lot of significant things that are happening here. I mean, your every breath, your every word, I mean, everything. God is using everything for His own glory and your redemption. And I mean, gosh, you can't say that this world isn't significant. There's a lot of significant things going on here. The fear would be that if you would actually suggest that there's nothing important being done here, that would be blasphemy, that would be a sin. And in fact, it's the exact opposite. I mean, when you think of the words of Jesus, they don't sound like someone who thinks that this world is important. When you look at the life of Jesus, it doesn't look like you're observing the life of someone who thinks that this world is important. I mean, what about the words or life of Jesus makes you think that this life is important, that there's something significant happening here? Take no thought of what you put on. I mean, the lilies are clothed. They don't think about what they're wearing at all. And yet they're clothed in splendor that would best Solomon on his best day. And so, don't worry about that. Don't worry about what you're going to eat or drink. Just don't worry about your possessions. Don't worry about any of that stuff. Life consists of more than the abundance of your possessions. I mean, and yet, we would think that without possessions, you have no measure of life. And I'm not just saying that. I'm not just that's not hyperbole. That's not just exaggeration. That's legitimate. If you see a person living and dying in abject poverty with no desire to step out of it, you feel like he's what? Wasted his life. He's a loser. He's wasted his life. In fact, there was a book written, Don't Waste Your Life. Like, you feel like, well, if he doesn't have some kind of possessions to show for his life, to measure his life by, if he hasn't accumulated anything, he must be a loser. And in fact, what did Jesus accumulate before he died? He said, foxes have holes, birds have nests, foxes have holes, the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. What a loser! He never bought a house. Doesn't he know that it's stupid to rent? I mean, doesn't he know that you're not getting anything out of that investment? You're just buying time. You're just living to die. You're just eating to live. And there's nothing being accumulated. There's no wealth being accumulated. There's no interest bearing from any of it. There's no equity being placed or drawn from it. I mean, people are just dumb. I mean, we got to know how to build wealth. And I mean, that's the measure of what you can give to your kids and your grandkids and the inheritance and all that. I mean, that's the measure of a person. And Jesus says, it might be the measure of a person going to hell. It's not the measure of a person going to heaven. It doesn't matter if you have those things or don't have those things. It doesn't matter. That's not the measure. Teach me, Lord. In other words, he's crying out here, let me believe this. Show me this. Teach me this. Because it's not my natural bent to believe this. It is not my natural bent to believe that my life is fleeting. It's a vapor, a shadow. O Lord, make me know my end and what is the measure of my days. Let me know how fleeting I am. Behold, you have made my days a few handbreadths, and my lifetime is as nothing before you. Surely all mankind stands as a mere breath. Surely a man goes about as a shadow. Surely for nothing they are in turmoil. Man heaps up wealth and does not know who will gather. Surely for nothing they are in turmoil. You know what that's saying? Surely for nothing they're in turmoil. In other words, man goes about anxious all day, every day, about building, about doing, about all of that. He's in turmoil. He puts himself in turmoil. He ties himself in knots. And he assesses, and he measures, and he assesses, and he measures. And when he falls short, he ties himself in more knots and doubles down and buckles up and all of that other stuff. And the Bible says it's for nothing. Surely for nothing they are in turmoil. That nothing is happening. Nothing is being accomplished. Man heaps up wealth and does not know who will gather. Look at you. You're just piling it up. And for whom? Who's going to enjoy it? And you might say, well, my kids, my grandkids, whatever. I mean, I don't want them to have to live like I lived. I don't want that. Once again, all of that is irrelevant. It's all irrelevant. It means nothing. It doesn't measure anything. It doesn't accomplish anything. I mean, at the end of this sermon, you're going to feel like a loser for not being a loser. Like, you're like, man, I have not yet begun to evolve into the loser I'm meant to be.
I'm working on it.
I mean, if you just, my life is a few handbreadths, like if you measure something. How long is that? 4 handbreadths. How long is your life? About 3 handbreadths. It's gone. It means nothing. This life means nothing. And now, O Lord, for what do I wait? Verse 7. My hope is in you. So, if this life means nothing, then what am I waiting for? Why am I here? What am I doing? My hope is in you. In God. Do you know how much theology is wrapped up in one little sentence? My hope is in you. I mean, my hope is in you, in every aspect. As the Redeemer of sin, my hope is in you. As the giver of blessings, my hope is in you. As the lifter of the curse, my hope is in you. As the Father of lights, the giver of all good gifts, my hope is in you. As the one who says, you're okay. You're okay. You're fine. My hope is in you. Not in me, not in my accomplishments, not in what I've done, not in what I've worked to do. Well, I mean, I may not have accomplished anything, but you see how hard I work to accomplish things. I mean, you know, if you're not going to accomplish anything, at least try. Right? At least try to accomplish something. At least be industrious, at least. Lack of industriousness. Your life's about 3 handbreadths. Industrious. Your life's about 3 handbreadths. What? And then you die. For what do I wait? If my life is a sandcastle, I'm just building sandcastles, for what am I waiting? Waiting for the Lord. Waiting for the Lord. Waiting for His return. Waiting for Him to come and bring this world to a close. That's what I'm waiting for. The goal is not for us to achieve something here. The goal is for us to wait for Christ to finish His achievement. He started His achievement when He came to earth and lived a perfect life and died on the cross and rose again. beginning of the achievement of God for eternity's sake. We're waiting for Him to finish that job, for Him to come back and bring this world to a close. The time when the heavenly gates will fling open and the way of the risen Lord will be prepared, and He will ride out of heaven onto earth, and all of His enemies will be vanquished, and all of His friends, His sheep, His flock will be gathered up and brought into perfect heavenly bliss. That's what we're waiting for. We're waiting for this conquering king to finish his job. We're not the king. We're not here to continue to build his kingdom. He built it. He's going to finish its building. He's the one, not us. I hear many people, most of the time when I preach this way or talk this way, many times when I have spoken to people about this, particularly other pastors, they will bring up verses and almost inevitably they're from the Psalms. Well, but you also got to consider the ant, Darby. I mean, he works, he's industrious, right? I mean, it's in there. I mean, it's not as though Proverbs aren't in there. Did I say Psalms or Proverbs?
He said something.
I meant Proverbs. They'll take something out of Proverbs, like consider the ant. Here's the problem. Proverbs isn't you. You're not wise. You already blew all of that. The book of Proverbs, some people were like, how does the book of Proverbs fit into Christianity? It's very simple. It points you out as a fool and points Jesus out as wise. That's what it is. You want to see the picture of a wise man? That's Jesus. Read the Proverbs. He did that. He considered the ant. He built a kingdom in the future at the expense of his present because we are all spoiled brats who would never do that. We are not the ant. He's like, well, my gosh, if I want to count on you guys to store for the winter during the time that you can work, I mean, if I want to count on you guys to make hay while the sun shines, it's going to be a pretty harsh winter because you're going to starve to death. I guess I have to come down and do it myself. That's what Proverbs is about. Proverbs is about Jesus being the wise man who understands how life is supposed to work and does it. Proverbs is also about how we are the foolish man who wouldn't know wisdom if it came up and saved us. And so, Proverbs doesn't contradict the fleeting nature of life. Proverbs proves it. Oh, now, O Lord, for what do I wait? My hope is in you. Deliver me from all my transgressions. Do not make me the scorn of the fool. I love that. Do not make me the scorn of the fool. Now, I don't know if you guys have considered this. Think about this, though. Do not make me the scorn of the fool. Like, what does that even mean? We have been given golden opportunities to see this played out in our culture and daily life. If you are on Facebook at all, I would invite you to just go to any post where some kind of an objective truth is being put forth, like they're saying this is objective truth. This is a fact. And then go and read the comments under it. And look at people beat the snot out of each other in the comments. Right? And here's the funny thing. You could know that whatever it was, I don't care what it is, you could know the earth is round. There's a lot of people on Facebook that say that the earth is flat. Like they are just prolific writers. Like, I can't understand it. I can't figure out a thing they're trying to say. But they'll say that the earth is flat. I mean, and it doesn't matter what you say, and it's because, well, there's no curvature in the pictures and stuff. It's like, it's weird. It's just weird. But at any rate, let's just for argument's sake, say that the earth is round. Here's a novel idea. Let's say for argument's sake the earth is round. And someone puts on there, the earth is flat. And then you try to point out to them that the earth is round. And they will beat the snot out of you in the comment section because you're an idiot. And you're looking at this like, who's the idiot? Like, we're talking about something that should be crystal clear. And yet, you are saying that this is not the case. They're scorning you. They think that you're a fool. Do not make me the scorn of the fool. In other words, it's one thing for being scorned as a fool. Like, I'm an idiot who thinks that man evolved from monkeys. You know, I'm an idiot. I'm a fool. It's another thing to be scorned by the fool who thinks that man evolved from a monkey. It's one thing to be scorned because you're dumb. It's another thing to be scorned by the person who's too dumb to realize that they're the dumb one. That's what he's saying there. Don't let me be the scorn of the fool. And isn't that the life of Jesus? That was his entire life. Now, I'm not saying anything about flat earth, round earth. I don't care. I don't know what heaven is. This earth isn't permanent anyway, so if it's flat, good job. Good job, flat earthers. If it's round, good job, round earthers. I don't even care. It makes no difference to me whatsoever. It doesn't pay my bills. Doesn't do anything. Whatever. I don't care if it's a government conspiracy designed to cover up one way or the other. Who cares? Man, I mean, if that's all the government has to do is conspire about whether the earth is flat or round, boy, once again, like, man, their life is truly fleeting. But here's what I know. This life is interpreted by Jesus. Here's my heart, Lord. Speak what is true. And Jesus, when he walked the earth, was the scorn of the fool. He had foolish people all around him, looking down on him. He had foolish Pharisees accusing him all the time. He had foolish disciples that are always trying to correct him. The Son of Man must suffer many things. Oh, no, Lord, far be it from you to have anything bad happen. Don't talk like that. Get behind me, Satan. It's bad enough to be scorned as a fool. It's really bad to be scorned by a fool. Just be quiet. Can you bear the cup that I drink? Oh, yes, of course I can bear the cup you drink. Oh, just be quiet. Lord, do you want us to call down fire on that city that rejected your name? I mean, constantly being scorned by the fool. His whole life was one of being scorned by the fool. Do not make me the scorn of the fool. I am mute. I do not open my mouth, for it is you who have done it. Remove your stroke from me. I am spent by the hostility of your hand. When you discipline a man with rebukes for sin, you consume like a moth what is dear to him. Surely all mankind is a mere breath. Now, think about this. Though he is being scorned by fools, he does not open his mouth. Why? Because he says, it is the Lord who has done it. It is the Lord who has made him the scorn of fools. It is the Lord who has appeared to vindicate the fools. And don't we see that in life all the time? Like, well, there's a lot of Christian principles that, I don't care what people say, seem to be able to be explained by multiple things. Right? For every Moses, there is a Magi. For every Moses that can, by genuine miracle, turn the Nile red like blood, there's a Magi that can come along and boom, the Nile turns red. For every angel, there's a demon. For every preacher, there's a false prophet. For every worker of miracles, there's a psychic. You're not going to get around being scorned by fools in this life. You're not going to get around not looking like the winner at the game of life. As a Christian, you're not going to look like a winner at the game of life. Why? It's not your goal. It's not your goal to win at the game of life. I read something this week and I told my wife about it and I thought it was a very fascinating idea. It's a very fascinating concept. someone had written, do you realize that people aren't any different, and I'm just explaining it, I'm not quoting it. People are no different than they were during the days of the Reformation, than they were during the days of Martin Luther. People are not inherently smarter today than they were back then, right? And the author's point was, do you think for 1 second that if they wanted to invent the iPhone or a jet plane in the 1500s that they couldn't have? How arrogant is it to assume that somehow we've evolved, we've progressed? Right? Do you not think, for instance, that Moses was smart enough to know how to build something? I mean, do you not think that any of these people could have built something? Do you not think that the British and French and whoever, lords in their castles in the 1500s could have built an iPhone, could have built a television? They were all stupid? What? No, they didn't want to. They had no desire to. Why? Because there was a theology that was keeping them from going down such foolish roads. What do I need to build an iPhone for? What do we need a jet for? We don't even like this world. This world is not our home. We're just passing through. Why would I want to fluff the pillows? What does it matter? And his argument was, in the days of the Reformation, they were concerned with escaping this world, not bettering it. The world was cursed. They knew that. They knew that. Why would I become the fool that tries to turn the hand of God? That was their thought. Then the Enlightenment came around. Wait a minute. We have just realized something. We are smart. We're smart. Why are we walking around like idiots waiting for some heavenly world when we could make heaven out of this world? Let's make art. Let's develop science. Let's build technology. Let's understand diseases and how to overcome them. Let's just advance humanity to the point that we don't need God anymore. In other words, the Enlightenment was the anti-39th Psalm. That's the point where man decided, why would I be a pilgrim? Why would I admit, I am new, I do not open my mouth, for it is you who have done it? No, it's my own mental barriers that have done it. What I need is some good, positive self-talk and a group of people that will follow me. And we are going to make this world a better place. So much so that if you want to sell products, that's what you advertise. You make the world a better place, like Coke. Not cocaine, but Coca-Cola. Probably just as bad. But, yeah, let's teach the world to sing in perfect harmony. Coke can do that. Coke can do that. If everybody's drinking a Coke and everybody agrees that it's the best thing in the world, then, isn't that teaching the world to sing in perfect harmony? Everybody's harmonious. Everybody agrees. We might war and fight and kill each other, but boy, we both love Coke.
Yeah.
And Coke will sell to both of us. No. I am mute. I do not open my mouth, for it is you who have done it. It's God who's done it. It's God who's cursed the world. And this is the interesting thing from the Enlightenment on. This is the interesting thing about it. We have fooled ourselves into thinking we've progressed. And I would challenge you, I've thought about this a lot. What has gotten better? Not what has gotten different. Not what has gotten different. Not what has gotten more convenient. What has gotten better? What has improved? Could you name it? What has improved? Has love improved? Well, now you got cars. People that live 1,000 miles away can visit each other. Family members that live 1,000 miles away from each other can visit each other. To which I would ask, well, why are families living 1,000 miles away from each other? Is that improvement? Is that progress? Is that betterment? Health? we can live longer now. It's debatable. I think Moses lived pretty long. I think Adam lived an awful long time. I think Seth lived a long time. Sarah lived a long time. Abraham lived a long time. I think people lived a long time for a long time. And I think overseas in the other parts of the world, you don't even know how old they're getting. You have no idea. How old's the people in the tribes of Amazon? We think we know. We don't know. We don't know those people. We don't even know where they are. We have no idea if medicine has improved people's lives. Here's what I notice. I notice that you can keep people's hearts beating longer. I mean, you got all kinds of ways of making someone's heart beat almost indefinitely. If you want to hook onto a machine, you can just... Is that life? It's not life. Have we really lengthened life? Have we improved quality of life? I mean, now you've got lots of people, that can live forever with no legs, and their brain is shot, and their limbs are failing, and their organs are failing, and machines have to keep them alive. Is that progress? We've progressed? That's enlightenment? We can exchange ideas immediately on the internet. We are so utterly connected to everybody else. And yet, how much of that is for ill, not for good? I mean, there's a lot of it that could be used for, quote, good, but then there's also a lot of it that's used for bad. I mean, you hear every day about, you gotta guard your internet identity because people are gonna steal your stuff, and it's like, oh, is this secure? Is that secure? And then on a global scale, a political scale, you got cyber security because they're hacking in, and I mean, they can shut down your entire power grid, and everybody knows that in America, I mean, nobody would know how to live past 3 days because once Walmart's empty, we're all shooting each other. I mean, it's the truth. Like, it just, 3 days. That's the average town. The average town has enough food for 3 days. You shut down fuel or electricity, everybody's pretty much done. We have no idea how to live. We have no idea how to eat. How do you eat? Something that's so simple. Eating. I would challenge almost everybody in this room except for you older folks who were born at some point farther back on the progression of humanity that you actually would know how to survive on your own. Like, oh, how do I eat a tomato in the winter? I can it. You tell me that, I'm like, what the heck is that? Can it? You mean like Chef Boyardee? No, I mean like you put it in there and you got to get it to a certain temperature, a certain pH, and it preserves it. I'm like, well, how would you do that without electricity? Well, only Lowell knows how to make a fire out of nothing. I mean, like, everybody's going to be coming to Lowell. Lowell, how do I make a fire so I can can this tomato? Except I wouldn't know how to do that anyway, so I got to have Lowell to build the fire, Phyllis and Beulah to show me how to can it. I mean, nobody knows how to grow it. Nobody is growing it. I got to go find somebody that isn't growing corn or soybeans to teach me how to grow something I can actually eat. That's just food. This is progress. We've progressed. How is it better? How is life better? Some of you older folks, how is life better now than it was when you were little children and your grandparents told you about life back then? Is it any better? It might be different, but is it better? I would argue it's just as bad as it's always been. It's always cursed. The world is always cursed. Life is always cursed. And here's the funny thing. I think that progress has brought it to sharper focus. In other words, if you grew up in the days of the plague, you did not expect your children to live past 10 anyway. Like, it was a total miracle. And you would acknowledge it as such. Oh Lord, thank you for this blessing of letting my child be spared from the plague. Let's wait for the next terrible thing to happen. While we wait and hope in you. Can't wait for heaven. Signed, Faithful Christian. But now today, you've got the promise that something can be made better. And I have heard, I just heard on the radio a couple weeks ago about something I had forgotten about. Little boy, they went on their best vacation and they all agreed it was their best vacation ever and they had so much fun. And a couple days later, little boy gets a fever. They think, oh my gosh, he's got the flu, darn it. What a way to end vacation. By Friday, he was in the hospital. Nobody could diagnose him. Nobody knew what he had. By Sunday, he had died. Little boy. He got a brain-eating amoeba swimming in a lake on vacation. And so now what is the answer? The answer is to build awareness of brain-eating amoeba so that every hospital in the country can now have a stash of the medicine that they've developed to counteract the brain-eating amoeba. So now, if you take your child to the hospital with a fever or whatever, you might want to tell the nurse whether they have swum in fresh water within the last week. Have they been in like a pond or a river or a lake? It's so rare, but yet it does happen, and so you need to rule that out. And maybe you'll be one of the lucky ones that takes your child to a hospital that has stashed some of this anti-amoeba medicine. Isn't that amazing? Like, it gives you just enough hope to think children shouldn't die by brain-eating amoeba. To which I would say, heartbreakingly, why? Why not? I say that as a father with children, and think about that. And it's like, when I heard that, I was sad for those parents. I was like, oh my gosh. Like, it's so sad because nobody is taught anymore how to deal with such things, because instead you're taught such things shouldn't happen. And that's the most foolish lie of all. The most foolish lie that brings the greatest scorn of the fool is that suffering can be overcome, that it shouldn't happen. When in fact, it is you who have done it. When you discipline a man with rebukes for sin, you consume like a moth what is dear to him. We are all under discipline for sin. We have been saved by Christ for heaven, and yet we are left here to suffer. We've been saved. And when I think of heaven, I rejoice. And then I look around and I weep. You consume like a moth what is dear to him. Surely all mankind is a mere breath. Breath. You don't know when your last one is. You don't know. Why are we going around as though something strange is happening when you hear of suffering in the world? When you hear of turmoil, when you hear of wars, when you hear of famine, when you hear of poverty, when you hear of sickness, when you hear of tragedies and accidents and all sorts of terrible things that happen. Why do we act as though something strange has happened? Are we the fools who do not know God? We are not the fools who do not know God. We know God. God has made himself known to us, and he has made himself known to us as the giver and the taker of every good thing. He is the one who, for his own good purposes, has left us here. And so it's amazing to me that that little change in philosophy between the Reformation and the Enlightenment and the Renaissance, all of the things that man considers progress that enabled what has happened now. What has it done? What has it done? But just make us more anxious and upset when bad things happen. This shouldn't happen anymore. This shouldn't happen anymore. I mean, we got doctors now. We have microscopes. I heard, and one of the things is they interviewed the mom and the dad of this, and the dad said, no parent should have to bury a child. To which I thought, you speak as one of the foolish ones. I know your heart broke, and my heart goes out to you, but that is not reality. That's not life. That's not real. That's not true. You're just setting yourself up for failure if you think that that's life. And here's the problem. If you don't see it from this perspective, why does he keep saying, I am mute, I do not open my mouth, I will guard my ways that I may not sin with my tongue, I'll guard my mouth so that I don't sin. What is he saying there? What he's saying there is, I am writing about and singing about and thinking about really big, eternal, heavy, weighty things. I don't want to sound like an idiot and a fool who would blame God when the normal course of life happens. We are not made for this world. This world is as hostile as Mars. We act like it's not. Do you realize that if Earth was 1 centimeter farther out in the universe, everybody would freeze to death? Or if it was 1 centimeter closer to the sun, everybody would burn up in a fiery inferno? Isn't nature amazing? Isn't the Big Bang really good to us? Let us praise the Big Bang. That the earth just happens to be perfect environment for life. And we get this foolish idea that somehow the earth is inhabitable. And we look to Mars and we say, man, Mars is like uninhabitable. I mean, whoever the person is that's going to be the first one to go to Mars, boy, they're really dumb. That place is uninhabitable. Well, the last I checked, everybody here dies too. This world is not inhabitable. What is it? I mean, like I mentioned, there's this mom who said, every day it seems like my kids trying to find new ways to kill themselves. Like, if I don't watch them over and every second of every day, my toddlers will try to find new and ingenious ways to kill themselves. Like, if they're not eating Tide Pods, they're putting themselves in the washing machine and starting it. Like, whatever it is, they're finding ingenious ways. This world is not any more inhabitable than Mars. What, because you can live longer here? Do you understand the concept of inhabitable? Like, you could live forever here. There's no one that lives forever here. This world is just as uninhabitable as Mars. It's drug out to where instead of dying a good quick death on Mars, you're forced to suffer every doggone day with some new disappointment, some new fear, some new anxiety, some new heartbreak. Everything that you put your hope in on this world dashes to 1,000 million pieces, given it time. This world's no more inhabitable than Mars. You know, I say, my gosh, Darby, this is a real downer. I know, right? If you're feeling that way, you're getting it. You're getting it. Oh, Lord, for what do I wait? My hope is in you. Our hope isn't in this world. Our hope is in heaven. This world, we're just like, what am I doing here? What am I doing here? Why am I here? Why have you left me here? Well, to consume like a moth what is dear to you. That's why we've been left here. Do you realize this is the place of death? And as we are following Jesus into the place of life, we are also taking up our cross daily and following Him through the place of death. Now, most of us have been taught or have been brought to the thought that taking up your cross is no more lust, no more greed, no more tobacco, no more alcohol, no more stealing stuff, no more cheating my neighbor, no more murder, no more of these things, no more pride, no more. Got to take up my cross. Okay, I'm taking up my cross. All right, I'm taking up my cross. Here's my cross. My cross is I'm fighting my sin. I'm really fighting my sin now. I am really doing everything I can to overcome my sin. That's taking up my cross daily and following Jesus. Beloved, Jesus didn't sin. You ever thought of that? If we're to follow Jesus and also take up our cross, don't you think that maybe we should follow Jesus and what He took up His cross for? What did He take up His cross for? Suffering in a world as a stranger, being in constant scorn by fools, until He died and only through that death escaped to the resurrection. You taking up your cross daily is not, I'm not going to visit that site on the internet. I'm not going to stop by the bar. I'm not going to play the lottery today. I'm not going to drink that first drop of alcohol because I know where that goes. That's not taking up your cross. Taking up your cross and following Jesus daily is coming to, once again, the daily recognition that I am hoping in you. Everything here goes to pot. Everything here just doesn't really work. Yes, there's good things. There's good times. There's fun times. There's relaxing times. There's all sorts of happy things too. But it's almost as though the happy things are there to remind you of the bad ones. Like, where else would the phrase come? Well, I'm just waiting for the other foot to drop, the other shoe to drop. Just waiting. Yes, I've had this good step. Now I'm just waiting for the bad step to even it all out. Because we all know nobody's getting out of life happy. You ever read articles and heard people that are extremely wealthy? For a while, they all end up in the same place. It's amazing. They all end up in the same place. Like, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Well, what was worth it? Nobody on their deathbed says, man, I wish I would have made $1 more million. Just $1 more million would have been great. Like, nobody cares then. Nobody cares then. It's always things that have nothing to do with, quote, progress. Family, wish I wouldn't have. Boy, I regret that I didn't, held a grudge against my parent or my child, or did this or did that. It's always something intangible, right? That. Hear my prayer, O Lord, and give ear to my cry. Hold not your peace at my tears, for I am a sojourner with you, a guest like all my fathers. Look away from me that I may smile again before I depart and am no more. I am a sojourner with you, a guest like all my fathers. I'm a pilgrim. I'm just passing through. I'm a sojourner. Why would I do anything with the hopes of it lasting here? I'm a sojourner. Hitchhikers don't build houses. They don't own any land. Well, I'm just hitching across the country. Well, where do you sleep? Well, I got this backpack. I got a blanket. Sometimes I've slept out under the stars. Man, you should see it. Boy, you're crazy. You're going to die. So are you. Like, what? Yeah, so are you. Like, everybody is. We're just passing through. If what I have said to you this morning makes you anxious or sad, you should thank God. You should thank God right now. If it makes you kind of depressed or dejected, you should thank God right now for opening your eyes to the blindness that you have been walking in. That this life is worth something. Because that is not the way Jesus spoke. It is not the way his apostles spoke. Have you ever, when I read his apostles and Jesus, I am immediately brought to the awareness that I am not like them. To die would be far better. Do you know how radical that sounds? Do you know how crazy stupid that sounds? Well, I really wish I could just die right now. People would literally call a psychiatrist on you. Like, he's got suicidal thoughts. No, from a philosophical perspective, from a theological perspective, Paul says, it'd be much better if I died right now. I would get my reward right now. I would get what I have coming to me right now. I would get Jesus right now. That would be far better than anything that could happen on earth. The only reason I'm here is to keep building castles. There's a little work left for me to do that probably is beneficial for you, so I'm convinced that he's going to leave me here. And guess what happened? He didn't get left. That's the part that always shocks me. The Apostle Paul writes, to die and be with the Lord would be much better, but I am convinced that he's going to leave me here because I've got much fruitful labor to do. And Jesus is like, yeah, we'll see about that, Paul. Savior of the galaxy. Welcome home. You did your work. You did your work. It's going to be preserved.
Amen.
People are going to read it and preach it and talk about it in Union City in 2018. You did your work. Your life is done. Your reward is here. You don't have to put any hope in the fact that your labor is much needed. And that's something, notice. Knowing that you need me, I'm sure the Lord's going to lead me here. Off with his head! Like, well, I guess you proved me wrong, Lord. If you find yourself not in agreement with the Apostle Paul on those things, and you think, oh man, that just doesn't sound like me, beloved, keep contemplating on the gospel. Keep contemplating on heaven. Keep nurturing in your heart a desire for heaven that is stronger than the pull of this world. And I just bet that he'll give that to you. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this psalm. We thank you for the heaviness of it, but also the hope in it. We wait for you. You are our hope. Lord, I pray that you would help us to live in this reality every day, to walk in the light of it, to understand what that means for how we live our lives. In Jesus' name, amen.